Hello, BlizzCon. All right, let's talk about questing. So one of the first things you're going to notice when you step into Draenor is that we're calling out key storylines through icons on our quest tracker and our quest log. Essentially, we want to draw attention to the big quest chains with big characters that lead towards big rewards, so you can make intelligent decisions about what content you want to participate in, what you want to focus on, especially as you reach that kind of end of the zone point where you're considering moving on. While those key storylines are guiding you through zones, you're going to be noticing that a lot of the other quests outside of those chains are more distinctly separated. So you really have the choice of whether you want to participate in additional quests along the way or whether you want to follow just that primary story track. This will have the side effect also of making the world feel a little bit more full and organic. If you go wandering out and find a quest hub, there won't be a magic quest that unlocks it and makes all the quests there start appearing. And it'll give you a lot more control over your experience. The efficient route will still be follow those key storylines, pick up the other quests along the way. But if you've been doing dungeons a fair bit, or again, if you're reaching the end of a zone, you may choose to focus on those key storylines and not be picking up as much of those strictly optional quests. As you go through these zones questing, you'll notice we'll be using a lot more of these side systems, dynamic events and treasures that we first introduced on Timeless Isle. So dynamic events are essentially gameplay challenges with cool rewards behind them and minimap callouts. So on Timeless Isle, for the most part, they were soloable rare spawns. But as you step into Draenor, you're going to be seeing some more complex versions, some multi-stage events with big culminations, or some wandering raid bosses that encourage lots of players to pile up and overcome a big social challenge. These will be mixed in a lot more during the level up experience. You'll also be seeing them a lot at level 100. So it should make the entire experience feel a little bit more, again, organic. Make it feel like there are opportunities coming up outside just the questing experience. Treasures are essentially our way of encouraging you to explore the world even more than the art already does. We make beautiful worlds, and we want to reward you for peeking in every nook and cranny. So the idea with treasures is when you find that hidden path that leads up the mountain that the quest never took you up, it's very likely there will be something at the top of it that makes it worthwhile to go up there. We also want to, with our treasures, kind of support just little mini stories within the world. So a couple examples you'll see in Frostfire. When you go into one of our ogre towers, you might run into a little bird's nest up on a rafter that just has a sparkling gem in it that you can loot for a cool reward. Or you might run into an Iron Horde caravan that's become entrenched in snow with some Iron Horde troops trying to dig out the wheels. And if you kill them, there's a chest on the back of their caravan that has a cool reward in it. You expect these to be very frequent because as we have that goal of encouraging exploration, we want to make sure that we're doing it effectively all over the world. Another thing you'll be seeing is what you might be used to from the reward scheme for quests is that you'll run into a lot of green items along the way and then cool blue items at the end of essentially key storyline chains. What you'll be running into now is that there's going to be a lot more opportunity for rewards to spike during your questing experience. So a reward that might be green for one player might actually end up being blue or epic for another player. It'll become less predictable, a little more exciting as you're questing through. We also have a fair number of UI updates that are coming in with Draenor. I want to give you a sneak peek at a few of them. So here you'll notice the special icons next to some of the quests in the quest log. Those are the key storyline icons I was talking about. Above them, you also notice that we're calling out the number of key storylines that exist in a zone in the form of chapters here, 2 out of 6. This will help you actually have a rough gauge of your progress through a zone, so you can make choices about whether you want to finish that zone off versus moving on to another one, depending on how far you're through. The other thing you'll notice here is the quest banks on the map. Those are actually calling out the locations of key storylines that you haven't yet picked up or that maybe you abandoned along the way. So these will actually dynamically update if you went halfway through a storyline and stopped. They'll show you where you can pick back up on that storyline if you want to. This should make it a lot easier to figure out exactly what you need to do to knock out those zone achievements, finish off a zone without asking for help from CS or anything. Max level content. I want to talk about this a little bit while we're here too. So we had the philosophy going from Cataclysm into Mists of Pandaria that we wanted to provide you a lot more things to do when you reached max level. Well, that philosophy still stands moving into Draenor. We want to give you lots of options, a lot of opportunity for things outside of just dungeons and raiding, things that you can do in the outdoor world. So in Draenor, you'll be seeing more max level content than ever before, but I can promise you right now that little, if any, of it is going to be daily quests. So there's a couple key content structure philosophies we locked in on Miss and Pandaria that we really liked. One of them was the progressive long-term storylines behind the Dominance Offensive and Operation Shield Wall dailies. The chapter-based kind of like leave you off on a cliffhanger, pick it up again in a few days or a week type content to take you through a big story over a longer duration. The other content structure we really liked the success of was the more open-ended structure inherent with Timeless Isle, with the exploration, the deep reward systems, options for how you want to participate your content. We essentially want to marry those two structures and create big zones with lots of opportunity, free-form content that have these long-term progressive storylines that thread through them over the weeks, so you keep having reason to go back and dive into them even deeper. The one other type of max level content you might be seeing a bit more of in Draenor is essentially environmental gameplay in the form of, I guess you would have seen it in our Troves of the Thunder King loot room scenario. What we want to push forward is opportunities to use all those class abilities in the outdoor world that sometimes only apply to PvP or top-end raiding. Opportunities to play out your race and your class to its unique advantages to try and squeeze out extra rewards. So you'll be seeing a little bit more of that at max level 2. So that's a good overview of our max level content. Next up, we're going to talk about garrisons. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Corey.